What's going on, everybody? Welcome back to another YouTube video. In this one, I wanted to discuss my personal experience, running an SMMA or an agency versus having a coaching or consulting business. And, I was able to blend the two. And at this point in my journey, I consider my current business to be kind of a merging of the two. I ran an agency where I was building funnels and all these sorts of things for people. And at our peak, we were doing about $50,000 a month in that business. And then in my coaching business, where I was helping other people do the same, I was helping them set up their own agencies and get started on their own. And now today we have one offer. It's called High Level Systems, and it's where we help people start and grow their own agency or coaching business. And, as it is now, we're honestly leaning more towards helping coaches because we're realizing that if we can help somebody build a consulting offer, it scales better, it's easier to sell, makes them more money, their clients get better results if they manage the process correctly, and you're not stuck with service delivery bottlenecks. So I'm going to get into that in this video. What's been my experience running an agency versus having a coaching business. And, it's funny. I get this question over DM all the time. They're like, Trey, do you have your own agency? Or Trey, do you do coaching? Or Trey, it's like, dude, I've done all of it. I've had a coaching business purely. I've had an agency business purely. In the agency, I've sold $10,000, $15,000, $20,000 consulting packages where I trained. And what's funny is those training packages, my clients always went on to have better results than if I were to come in and do done for you, because, I'm a natural coach, and I believe most marketers are. I believe most people are, because if you can tell stories and give frameworks to people, they're going to be able to implement on their own. So, for example, I can reference Zach Colburn, who I was just out in California with. He was a client of mine about a year back, and he was doing about $5,000 a month. Gave him some ideas, helped him move forward, helped him with his funnel, his offer, everything like that. And while I was in California with him for 2 days, he netted like $15,000 profit from his consulting offer, which is really cool. And then another buddy of mine, Kyle Dindy, who's been able to scale to over 6 figures a month. Bastian Slot, who I believe some of my audience is probably going to know his name. He's been able to get to $200,000 a month in his coaching business. So all with different niches, all helping different people with different things. Zach helps fitness coaches. Kyle helps people get PR. He's got a program on how to get PR. Bastian helps with organic marketing. Our client Anton actually helps agency owners, and he's been able to get to 7 figures yearly. So, at some point in my journey, I had to break the idea that in order for my clients to have a better experience, I have to actually do work for them. And I had to break that concept in my head because, to be frank with you, you don't have to do the work for your clients. You just have to show them why what you would otherwise be doing for them works, and kind of sell them on the concepts, and then help them integrate them into their business in a way that, aligns with what momentum they kind of already have, right? So, for example, I'm working with a client right now. His name's Whitney, and he runs a massive podcast in the real estate niche. He has 100 million in company holdings, right? Some people would consider this an agency client. Some people would consider it consulting. Put whatever label you want on it. At the end of the day, I'm helping this guy start and scale his own coaching business off of his real estate podcast platform. And I've found that that's been my specialty, helping people build consulting offers for their industry. And, he's already gotten some sales calls, already closed some clients. He's got a pretty solid offer that we're building together. It's a pretty sweet thing that we're doing over there. So in this video, to no longer beat around the bush, should you run an agency or should you have a coaching business? Let's dig into that. I've got about 30 minutes where I can talk about this and pick it apart. So let me start first by the reason why I'm making this video. The reason I'm making this video is because I get this question literally constantly. Like, Trey, you're educating people on an agency, but you don't even have your own agency. Like, you're just doing coaching and you sell consulting pack. I'm like, dude, I'm going to settle all the dust right now. Every single agency client that I worked with on a done-for-you level, the results that they were able to get doesn't compare in the long term. Maybe in the short term, we're able to run retargeting ads or, just get them cold returns on their campaigns, right? Maybe in the short term they got results, but in the long term, every client that I sat down, consulted with, casted a vision with, and helped them achieve it through, a 6 month to a year-long game plan, they ultimately always got better results in the long term. So I was running an agency, and at its peak, we did about $40,000 to $50,000 a month, and I decided to lean hard into consulting, coaching, consulting, because I knew that was a better model long term. The industry that we're in right now, and a lot of people that follow me, they follow a lot of the big guys in the industry, like Iman or Sam Ovens or any of these sort of bigger names. in like SMMA or whatever. And at the end of the day, really, when you think about what you're doing, you are selling outcomes to clients. You're helping them move from a certain state to a better, more desirable state in their business, in their life, whatever it may be, right? And whether you're an agency owner or a coach or a consultant, it's kind of the same thing. You get sales calls, you identify where they're at, you help them make these breakthroughs, and then you can move them forward with your designed process. And that's really what we do in our program. We help people figure out what is that process, what's the timeline of the sorts of actions that they have to get a client to take, the sorts of results they're hoping to get a client, and the specific action items either they do or their client has to do, whether they're a done for you or a coaching service. So running an agency versus a coaching business, to be honest with you, extremely similar. Okay, the only difference is in the done for you element. Instead of having a media buyer and a funnel builder and a copywriter or something like that, you are the source of knowledge for your clients. So your job is to be well read. It's to understand these concepts and not just understand them, but be able to teach them well. And I found that teaching isn't just telling your clients what to do, it's actually telling stories. So instead of saying something like, hey, you need to build a case study funnel, I'll say, let me tell you a story about my business. When I first built my first case study funnel, this was back when I was doing like X amount a month in my coaching business, or you can even reference a client that is running, or even just somebody online that is running a case study funnel, and you can share the story of how it's been able to help them grow their business, right? And you can say, it was like 6 months in before they finally cracked it, but once they finally did kind of crack the code on the case study funnel, they were able to scale to, X amount of, like I can use my client Kyle, for example, once he was able to get profitable on cold ads after he built his high ticket offer, because he just had a $47 offer at the time, I convinced him to build a $3,000 upsell. He builds this upsell, and now just boom, he skyrockets past 6 figures a month, almost in profit. I think it's like $80,000 or $90,000 profit a month right now, almost on autopilot, because all of his traffic's just coming from advertising campaigns. So yeah, this question of which one's better, honestly, I'd have to lean towards the consulting route, because once you can figure out a good framework, you can duplicate that much easier with consulting. You can put people in a group, for example, or you can just take a call or two a day. You can even assign a coach that understands the concepts as well as you do, if not better, to help handle the clients, get them results, and move them forward, which is why, again, I've merged my businesses. So yeah, it's a pretty short, simple concept, but the sort of the SMMA agency, the lie that I've heard, and this is just something getting thrown around, and I'm kind of going to call out the industry just a little bit, and I'm not trying to step on any toes, I'm not trying to hurt anybody's feelings. There's a lot of people in the agency industry that sort of propose it to be the best way to get started online, or the best model, and even people have this idea that you have to do done for you for a while before you can coach. I disagree with that entirely. I genuinely do. Some of the biggest players in the industry, you got Russell Brunson, or some of these huge guys in the internet marketing industry, they didn't do done for you. They just went right into helping people understand frameworks, helping people understand, concepts and how to apply them. And most of the big players in the industry, they're not necessarily done for you salespeople. They are extremely good at helping, an individual understand a framework and put it into play in their own business so that they can see results. So your job is to essentially take what you would otherwise do on a done-for-you level, turn it into a framework, and you can frankly charge just as much, if not more, for that framework than you could for done-for-you. Because most business owners I've found, as much as they, like saving time, having somebody do it for them, if they were approached and said, look, I'm going to save you the money of hiring an employee or an agency, and I'm just going to show you how to do this, within 4 to 8 weeks, you're going to know how to implement these things for yourself, and it's not going to take any more than 20 to 30 minutes a day of your time, if not less. And even if it does take that much, you can put somebody on board to manage it. That's a better sale. If you're inside of our programs, you have sales call recordings of me selling that sort of a package for multiple 5 figures to clients that ate it up and got results. There was a client D, for example, and this was one of my first it was $10,000. This was my first 5-figure consulting package. And she is a marriage counselor. And so she actually, helped marriages recover from, trauma and bad negative experiences in the past. And she would do it in a subtle way, a lot of high status marriages, celebrity marriages, athletes, people like that. So it's a very interesting niche. And I helped her build a case study funnel, run some basic ads, and just get more predictable about her sales call intake because she was relying purely on referral. We were able to add, I think it was like $400,000, and I could be wrong, but it was anywhere from like $300,000 to $400,000 a year to her bottom line with a $40,000 consulting offer. So at least, 8 or 9 or 10 extra sales a year to her business. And she only paid me 10 grand, right? So when you can implement these ideas for people and help them move them forward, you're actually doing more damage for them. You're helping them further than if you were to just come in and just do work. So that's at least my theory, and this is how I operate. And even back when I was running a done-for-you agency, I was like, man, it's just like way too much freaking work to manage my team, manage clients, manage copy, manage ads, manage the profitability. It's just like, I'm sure I could have had a better system for it. And looking back, if I were to really take it more seriously, I easily could have gotten it to, $150,000, $200,000 a month running my agency. But it just got so much easier and so much more fun to sit down with a client in the trenches and solve the problems together with them and give them templates and models for solving them themselves. So if you want my just straight answer, which one's better, agency or coaching? Coaching, hands down. I think coaching is one of the best ways to start and grow your own online business, make a mark in your industry. I ran into a girl named Grace. Grace, if you're watching this, what's going on? Back when I was out in California here a couple days ago, we just had a small meetup for, some of the people that followed me as well as like some of our clients, and it was a lot of fun. And Grace, she helps women overcome binge eating. And she told me that, she ran into our content and was able to literally up her prices from like just barely 4 figures, so barely $1,000 to almost $2,500, so $2,400 up front for a 6-week program on helping women overcome binge eating because she herself was struggling with binge eating at one point, went through a process of overcoming that, and now via the means of her own personal story, she's able to market herself on platforms like Instagram, TikTok, take sales calls, and actually scale her business. And so I just sat down with her and did some consulting and helped her get clear on what the next steps would be in order to scale. She doesn't know her numbers. She doesn't know her closing rate. She doesn't know what it costs to get a call. She doesn't know these sorts of numbers. She also is having a hard time figuring out, which platform to stick to, whether it's Instagram, TikTok, YouTube, whatever. And our theory is as long as you know what it costs to get a sales call, then you can use really any platform. But we help you figure out what that number would be in order to continually scale in your coaching business. So, yeah, agency or coaching hands down, I think it's the best way to go. I think everybody's got a story or a skill set or something under their belt that they can use to influence other people. And what's really funny is most people who start an agency or most people who start any business online end up coaching people on how to start it themselves anyway. And it's just like that's kind of how the industry works. And so my thing is some people question the ethics of that. Some people are like, oh, it's total bullcrap. You're making money just through education. But my thing is, dude, people are paying to move themselves forward in a way that is tangible and relevant to themselves. And it's not our job to, try and control what people want. It's just our job to give it to them. As marketers, as free market thinkers, it's our job to ensure that when somebody wants a transformation, they can buy it and they can move towards the goals that they have. And maybe they don't even know what the transformation is. Maybe they don't even know where they're stuck yet. And that's why it's our job as educators, as coaches, as consultants, or as agency owners to help people understand, what's on the other side of the bell curve, what they could do if they were to implement these ideas. So that's kind of my theory. SMMA versus coaching. Personally, I lean coaching. I was even running an agency. I was studying under the greats, implementing everything they taught me to do. And I was just like, dude, I'm making more money, having more fun, getting better client results, and scaling way faster, way easier by consulting and implementing frameworks into clients' businesses. A lot of people look at coaching and they say, oh, they're paying you like 15 grand, 20 grand for your time, or even 2 grand, whatever it is that you're charging, right? Just for like a couple calls with you. It's not it at all. It's not about the time. It's about what you're affecting in their business or their life, what change you're implementing for them. So, for example, we sold another $10,000 consulting package recently. And this is just, I do these on the side, really. My main focus is high-level systems. This is our group coaching program where we help you get started doing these things for yourself. And we've got literally 3 people that have gone through with us and gotten to $1 million a year or more, which is super cool to get to say. But But I'm working with this client, and, I was looking at the size of his problem. I mean, he's got a huge podcast with 100,000 monthly listeners and just no offer that is just cash flowing for him on the front end of that. So I said, all right, let's figure out that offer. Let's get you on some sales calls. Let's put a sales rep on board potentially, and let's cash flow this real estate podcast, because right now it's turning into is some, corporate real estate deals. So he's got $100 million in corporate real estate holdings. And that's a great asset, obviously, but he's wanting something that will cash flow, $1 million a year, $2 million a year. And so we figured out what that offer was. We brainstormed it out, mapped it out, and now we're taking calls for it and we're starting to sell it. So that, to me, equipping others, almost showing them how to fish versus fishing for them, is a lot more meaningful, a lot more fun, and I prefer it. So that's where I stand on that. Running an agency versus a coaching business. Had to make this video. I get this message over on Instagram or in our Facebook group constantly, like, Trey, which is it that you do? Do you run a coaching or you run an agency? Like, I'm confused. Should I? It's like, dude, coaching all the way. Even though the same concepts that apply to running a coaching business will help you scale your agency, I see them as very similar. I think getting stuck in that done for you sort of loop of like getting a client, having to onboard them, get them results, and then it stops you from being able to prospect and go further. It's so much harder to manage that and manage expectations of clients unless you have tons of authority in your niche and tons of belief in you as a brand, as a company. You are going to face resistance with your clients, even if they're paying you, upwards of $10,000. I've experienced it myself where really as an agency, we'll have clients that are paying us $4,000 or $5,000 a month, and we're getting them results and they're still not happy. Because the expectation is, they were wanting more results. So the expectation is their ads would look different or whatever it might be. So this is where having a framework that you hand to someone and hold them accountable in order to implement and help them make sure they're implementing properly throughout the way. And along that way, making sure that you're upgrading your framework to fit the next client and adjusting it based on, the feedback that you're getting from your clients. It's more scalable, more impactful, and I enjoy it further. So that's where I stand. A lot of fun. I enjoy the business. I enjoy helping other people start it. If you want any help starting and growing your own consulting, your own coaching, or your own agency business, feel free to use the link in the description down below. We've got systems for filling your calendar with sales calls, which is by far the most important thing as a business owner, is making sure that you've got consistent stream of attention and calls on the calendar, booked, ready to be sold. As well as that, we help you craft and build your own high-ticket offer. If you're a coach, again, or an agency owner, $3,000 to $10,000 offer minimum is really what it takes in order to scale to that $1 million a year mark. If you've got a $5,000 offer, you've got a 30% close rate, which is pretty much an industry average, and you're taking about 2 to 3 sales calls a day, that's a $100,000 a month profit business, as long as your overhead isn't insane and you're not spending tons of money on ads or whatever it might be. And we've helped a handful of people do that, and a lot more people are on track to do that with us, which is a lot of fun to see. So that's about it. Hopefully you guys enjoyed this video. Just to look into my thought process as a business owner, as a marketer. I get this question all the time, and I feel like I'm starting to feel like I'm doing people a disservice by getting them introduced to the agency model, because in the long term, it just doesn't scale that well. Like if you have a $2,000 offer on how to run Facebook ads, and you're really good at turning people who are in that program or working with you directly into, success stories and results, and you're getting them incredible outcomes through your offer, by all means, that is more scalable than even like a $6,000 a month, agency offer where you're running Facebook ads for people. In our program, we almost talk about like there's a spectrum where on one end you've got done for you, in the middle you've got done with you, and on the far end you've got do it yourself, which is like a program offer of some kind. And we like to chill right here in the middle. Done with you is what I found is the best. You give your clients frameworks, templates, like a funnel template, ad templates, everything like that. You equip them with all the resources, and then you coach them on the framework and the daily action items they need to be taking in order to move forward based on either your personal experience or what you've seen works for other people, or even, contractors you work with or coaches you're working with. What's nice about running your own coaching business too is you don't even have to be the expert. You can partner with someone who is the expert and almost kind of be the connector, just like as if you were to have a media buyer on board or something like that. You personally should at least understand the framework so that you can tweak it and make sure it's working for the client. But at the end of the day, you don't have to be the task worker. For example, I know people in the Amazon FBA coaching niche that do 5 or 6 million a year in coaching sales, and all they do is they take successful students and turn them back over into coaches so that they're always coaching on what is working in the industry, so they're always staying up to date with what is or isn't working. Because a lot of these e-commerce coaches, it can be a pretty shammy, scammy, shady industry. And so in order to make sure that their product stays front of line in its quality, they just flip success stories back into coaching roles. And I think they've got like 30 coaches or something. They vet all of them, and they check in on their client success based on, a set of criteria. And their clients go on to do incredibly well. Their clients have scaled $1 million a year FBA businesses, and it's because they actually know what it takes in order to do that properly. So yeah, I'll kind of end the rant here. SMMA versus coaching. I lean coaching, but also if you are running an agency, we can still help you. Filling your calendar with sales calls is one of the most important elements of running a business in general. But, I just believe that running a coaching offer is more scalable and more impactful. And I love the phrase, teach a man to fish, or, fish for him. It's like you can teach him to fish, you'll equip him for life. If you just give him a fish, you're going to ultimately hurt their growth. So thank you so much for watching. Hopefully you enjoyed, and I'll see you in the next video.